like any other day for Jose Manuel Dominguez. He takes the train to work, walks a few blocks, and arrives just on time. However, what makes him so special is the difference. Jose Manuel Dominguez is blind. It all began 12 years ago as he was touring Spain as a professional actor from Cuba. Soon after, he was diagnosed with severe meningitis and has therefore lost complete vision. Jose, can you share with us your childhood?
I just remember beautiful moments, especially my vacation times in the countryside where my extended family lived, still there. It was beautiful.
Additionally, share to me your passion about acting and the training you go through.
And one day I was in the classroom with my high school friends, and I started doing like a film that it had been really good for me, and I was impressed by that film, and I started representing the entire film for my friends. And they were laughing, and they were like one of my friends told me, "Why don't you become an actor? Why don't you study to become an actor?" I said, "Well, I'll do it."
Okay.
And that's a real story.
Can you tell me how drastic the change of becoming visually impaired has been on you?
It was a long process. Yeah. I didn't lose my vision like in 1 or 2 days. It was like a period of about a year. And I was reading the book, and then I started seeing little clouds, and then clouds started getting bigger and bigger and darker, and that's where we are right now.
And explain to me your day-to-day challenges of being visually impaired.
I don't really think in challenges. I just, sometimes I don't even remember that I am blind. I try to do as much as possible and minimize the risks of being blind, especially in a city like Miami, right, where people drive like crazy. They don't care about the dog, they don't care about the guy. What about this guy crossing the street? I'm gonna go there, it doesn't matter. So those are the hardest moments in my life, just crossing the street. The rest is craft.
How have you adapted to blindness?
Actually, the meningitis affected my ear sense as well. Okay. Especially the right side. Somehow, I have more awareness on top of surround noises and things that are going on around. And sometimes I'm walking with my friends toward the train station, for example, and I said, "Hey, look, we have to rush because the train is coming." And they told me, "How do you know?" Right. How do you know? It's because we do develop a very nice kind of sensitivity in the ear to detect.
Do you find the community of Miami to be supportive of those visually impaired and with disabilities?
We need more education. Especially awareness on what is not only for blind people, but for people with disabilities. I was on the street like 3 weeks ago, and I was trying to get a bus stop, and there were like three guys talking on the street, close to Government Center, and I was, "Hey, excuse me, hello, hello," and no one put attention to me, and I said, "What's going on here?" Right. And you know what? Once they finished their conversation, there was one remaining person there, and I asked him, "Sir, could you please help me with a bus stop that I'm looking for?" "What do you need?" "I'm looking for a bus stop, the S." He told me, "It's right there, by the blue bank." I said, "By the blue what?" How can I know where is a blue bank? Right. But it's not that he didn't want to help me, it's that he knew that he wouldn't be able to help me, because he hadn't been into that experience before. Right. It was good. It was good for me because I realized that sometimes it's not that the people don't want to help. It's just that they don't know how to help. Here in Miami, we don't have too much campaigns, especially awareness campaign. Right. I'm talking about service animals, for example. So my role here is not to think in challenges. It's to think in solving problems, trying to solve these problems, trying to educate the population and the community as much as possible. Is a really hard task. Here in Access, for example, this is an irradiation center. This is a center who really irradiates awareness in all senses, not only for blind people.
And how has the effect of Access in Miami-Dade College benefited you?
I've been here first as a student and now as an employee for almost 10 years. Every morning I come to Access, and I can tell you that every day I'm happy of coming here, no matter what, because I feel good here. I feel good with what I do. I feel good with my co-workers. Yeah. So it's a really, really good experience, and Access has been a really, really important part of my life, especially thanks to people like Dr. Ken, who has a great vision, who is the ultimate responsible for me to be here, and the one who always supports me.
And finally, is there any message or legacy you would like to leave for those with disabilities?
Sometimes I have the perception that the biggest barrier for people with disability are the other people and the lack of awareness. So that I would say, don't put limits to your life, because the world will do it for you. I try to encourage our students to do their best. Don't think in their limits, but rather think in their abilities, their talents, their possibilities, and exploring which are these possibilities they have. The limits are already there. We don't have to think in limits. That's what I think.
After his diagnosis, Jose moved from his native Cuba to Miami, where he enrolled in Miami-Dade College to sharpen his English skills. Shortly after, he was hired by Access Services, where he now places students with disabilities in AmeriCorps work programs. Now Jose Dominguez is currently writing, acting, and directing in a play he titled A Belly Full of Candy. Jose Dominguez is without a doubt a true sample of courage and persistency to us all. As author William Word once said, adversity causes some men to break and others to break records. For Miami-Dade College in Focus, I'm Melissa Adan.